We've made a few one-pot meals recently. The overwhelming feedback is that you love them and you want more. Because of that, we're going to start a whole new series today. Here are the ingredients for salmon and orzo. Let's make it right now. So I always like to go over the ingredients. It helps me, but more importantly, it helps you. I'm going to go from this way to that way, okay? Salmon, I have roughly 2 pounds here, probably a little bit less. I'm going to cut this into 4 equal-sized pieces. We'll do that in a second. If you want to make this dish for more than 4 people, say 6 to 8, because there's a lot of food here, you can cut this into smaller pieces, or you can even just sear the whole entire piece and then break it up and cook that all in with your pasta. You'll see in a second what I mean. And yeah, we have a pound of pasta in here. This is orzo pasta or rizzone, okay? It's known as orzo in the United States, but it's known as rizzone in other parts of planet Earth. That confused a lot of people. A lot of people thought in another dish that when I used orzo that it was rice. Now you can make this with rice, but that would be different. This is not rice, this is actually a pasta. I'm gonna use Cajun seasoning to season our salmon. This is my own homemade spice, but you can use any commercial blend you like, or you can go even a little lighter and use like Old Bay seasoning or just plain salt and pepper. We'll sear the fish in olive oil and butter, and we'll also use olive oil and butter just to continue making our sauce. Our sauce, kind of like the bulk amount of all this is going to be made with tomatoes. So I have 680 grams or 1.5 pounds of grape tomatoes or cherry tomatoes. I just sliced them in half. I left a few of them whole for texture. 1 whole onion, large onion that is diced, 6 cloves of garlic that are minced, and 3 cups of low sodium chicken stock. That's all going to give us enough liquid so we can actually cook our pound of pasta, our pound of orzo. I have parsley here to finish the dish at the end, and then the seasonings is just going to be 2 teaspoons of fine sea salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and a tablespoon of oregano. That's all going to be mixed in while we cook our orzo. We'll finish with some lemon juice, probably about 3 tablespoons worth, and I have spinach here, 1 whole pound of spinach. Now, this is fresh baby spinach. You can also use frozen spinach for this. It does not really make a difference, okay? Because it's all going to be cooked and spinach turns to mush in a few seconds after you start cooking it. I think they pretty much covered everything. Let's remove the skin from the salmon. Okay, so here's my nice piece of salmon. You know, use whatever's in your budget. You know, you can farm salmon, wild salmon. I don't really like sockeye because there's no fat in it really. So it's like the one type that you can tend to overcook versus something that has a lot of fat in it. You know, and you can tell fat by, you know, it's kind of easy to see. Versus something like this is a little bit more forgiving. You don't have to remove the skin here either. A lot of people like it, but for the way we're cooking it today, in my opinion, it's better to remove that skin. And this would be better if I did it straight on my wood cutting board, but I don't want it to smell, so I'm just going to do it on this plastic cutting board that I can put right in my dishwasher. So make sure you dry it off well so you can get like a decent grip on it, or even use your paper towel to like kind of hold it down. I have a sharp knife here that I just sharpened. So all the way at the edge of the table, and then I'm just gonna take my knife, really sharp knife, okay, and I'm just gonna go down like this. Now my knife is just, as long as my knife just stays on the cutting board, I'm gonna pretty much be able to remove the skin. So just be careful if it gets a little narrow at the side for your hand. So you can see like most of the skin has been removed. Okay, you can even save this. A lot of people love that. You can like fry that up. It's nice. Feel like a salmon skin sushi roll or something. You can have the people like, you know, supermarket you go, fish market, you can just have them do it for you. And one more thing, I just bought this knife. This is a knife, I was gonna use it here, but I know a lot of you aren't gonna have like a fillet knife, but this one would be even better because it's just super easy to like, it's flexible, and it'll just like kind of just follow the bottom of the board a little bit more easier than a knife like this that's not flexible at all. It wasn't an expensive knife, it was like 20 bucks. The remaining bits here you can take off if you like. And depending on how sharp your knife is, it might be harder to do. Okay, but honestly, most of that's probably fine to stay. You know what? That's not sharp enough. Let's actually try that new knife. Oh yeah, that's sharper. Like a little bit like right there. That looks fine to me. That's good enough. Now, they took a lot of bones out of here when they clean it up for you at the store. And sometimes it'll be breaking apart a little bit like this. So your pieces, when you sear them, they might fall apart as well. So we're gonna do 4 pieces. Okay, just go take the half point first. Okay, right through. And then divide that in half again to get your 4 equal pieces, or roughly. So like the way that is, it's just gonna break apart when we cook it, but it'll be all right. Let's heat up our pan. Okay, so I just have my salmon off to the side right here. We'll just season it right before we put it in the pan. I'm using this 4-quart Tefal pan, so it's like a non-stick, which is gonna be good for doing orzo like this, or if we were making like a chicken and rice dish, I would probably use the same type of pan too, just to ensure that nothing's gonna stick. If you wanna use a cast iron, have at it, or a big stainless pan too for this. They're all fine. Okay, I'm gonna turn my heat to roughly medium, and then I'm gonna put in 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Okay, good amount. Don't worry about like, you want a good amount of fat in this. All right, you're gonna get fat from the salmon too, come out. And then here's our 2 tablespoons of butter, okay? Maybe even a little bit more oil. And while that's going, let's just dry these pieces of salmon off a little bit. So this is my homemade Cajun seasoning, but yeah, use anything you like.
Will you link the recipe to
yes.
the Cajun seasoning?
Okay, pat that in there on that side, do the other side. You can even get the sides, you know, the sides of the sides. Pat that in there. Okay, and the butter's pretty much there. Gonna let these go about 3 minutes per side. We're not gonna try to cook them all the way through. Okay, so it's been a couple minutes. Again, I'm getting cracking here, like where it was naturally done. So this is, they're gonna break when I flip them. This is really hard to prevent that. Okay, just turn it over. Okay, maybe like 2 more minutes, and then we will just stick them right in a plate. And when we make our sauce and everything, we're gonna do our orzo. Orzo takes about 20 minutes when you cook it the way I'm going to show you. We don't want to put the salmon in from the beginning. It'll cook too long. We'll put the salmon in towards the halfway point or towards the last third of cooking. Okay, and that's been like another 2 minutes. So you see how we have a lot of butter and fat there? Let's just keep using it, okay? Put the onions in. So all of this is the combination of the 2 tablespoons of butter. I probably used like 5 tablespoons of olive oil. The recipe, by the way, if you're following the recipe exactly, I said use half of the, it was 6 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of butter. I said use 3 tablespoons initially with the butter, so you have 5 tablespoons of fat, and then I said add another 3. But since I used too much oil in the beginning, I'm not adding even more now. Plus we got a lot of fat from the salmon releasing into the pan. Some of you have said I talk too much in these videos and I tell you too much information. That's important information, what I just told you. You know, I don't make like TikTok style videos here on YouTube. I do make them on Instagram. So, you know, this video will be cut down into like a 8-second like reel on Instagram. So I just want to tent this with foil. The biggest lie that has been perpetrated on all of us, society in general, is that we can learn from a 10-second reel with what used to take 6 hours to read a book or to watch Bobby Flay or Emeril on the Food Network. You can't. You don't. But what you can do on those reels and all those things is watch really stupid videos and send them back and forth to your wife or your husband. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, just put a little pinch of salt on your onions just to draw some of the more of the moisture out quicker. This whole dish is, I can't call it a 30-minute meal. It's like a 45-minute meal, but it's close. And you know, you don't have to do the onions for like 7 minutes. You can just do them for like 3. All right, here is the garlic. And we're gonna cook this in here until it gets nice and fragrant. A little bit of color, take about a minute or 2. That's looking nice, very beautiful. Now everything's looking brown because of our, you know, blackened, essentially, salmon. Here you go, tomatoes. I wanna get some of the juice to release from these tomatoes, so it's gonna be about 5 minutes. If this recipe looks similar to you, we did a Mediterranean chicken in orzo, you would be correct. It's very similar to that. And if you have ideas for this, so this is episode number 1 of this one pot series, leave it in the comments for us. Let us know. We read every single comment, always, always. If we see like 20 people say the same thing, like we'll make that dish. Right, Tara? What do you think?
Yep. And we do read them. We
Yeah.
don't always have time to respond to them.
Well, some of them aren't
That's-
worth a response. Like if somebody's
Well-
like, you know, great dish, it's just like, okay.
Well,
like,
then you give a
know,
heart.
Yeah.
But that does take time. That's something that we need to do manually, is to go in and heart a comment
Yeah.
or things like that. So
Yeah.
it's something that we don't always have time to respond to.
Yeah. So we did, the previous series to this was the 15-minute series. That, don't worry, we're not doing that. Probably not too much anymore, because there were a lot of comments in those videos. Now, a lot of people liked them, but many didn't. That ground beef one, which was, I think it was episode number 1 of that series, that had about 1,800 comments. I love the idea, I love the concept. You know, a lot of people said it was like not laid back anymore. It was a little too, and,
Yeah.
and the buzzer, they weren't a
They
fan
didn't
of.
like the buzzer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna let this go for a couple more minutes. I got to extract a little bit more juice from these tomatoes. Okay, so you see like how some of the tomatoes now have burst in here? They like got like shriveled, like so. That's good. That's what I'm looking for. So it's less about a time. That's why when you're following a recipe, you're following some TikToker. They're not giving you anything, okay? Like so, you know, I tell you 5 minutes, but this took like 7. All right, because my tomatoes, they didn't want to release their juice. Here is 2 teaspoons of fine sea salt and a half a teaspoon of black pepper, 1 tablespoon of oregano. Okay, I'm just gonna mix all that in here with the tomatoes. It's all gonna distribute, especially when we get our stock in a minute. But for now, let's get all of this spinach in. All right, now it's hard to fit it all in here. It will fit. Tara, look at this.
Yeah.
I feel like last time there was less spinach, but no, it goes down to nothing, so that is the trick. Okay, get a cover on there and just get it tight, okay? Tight as you can. And what this is gonna do is it's just gonna release some of the moisture, and it's gonna start to steam, and then everything will get much less in the pot. Okay, so going back in there, try to just get some at the bottom. Just turn it over. I'm gonna put in my stock now, so it doesn't matter. It's all gonna start getting, it's still gonna all start shrinking. Just get it in there. This is 3 cups of low sodium chicken stock. Now listen, this is a seafood dish, so you use fish stock if you have it, if you like. Turn up your heat to a boil. You can also use vegetable stock. I know you're thinking it's not gonna work, like how you're gonna get the orzo in here, but again, it shrinks. Okay, as you can see, it's all shrunk down and gave us enough room, but that's why I specified a 4-quart, you know, high-walled pot like this. Okay, I'm gonna put all that orzo in. This is 1 pound of orzo, which is a pasta. Okay, just mix it all around, get it distributed as best you can right now. Just wanna get all that oil, like the fat, everything on it. Gonna put the cover back on, and I'm gonna turn the heat to low. Almost to where where it's gonna go out. Cook it like this for 8 minutes. Okay, so that has been 8 minutes. I'm going to take that lid off for a second, and now I want to get the salmon in here. So the easiest way is just to kind of just try to slide them all off. You can kind of nestle them a little bit more if you want. It's not really critical, but maybe like that. Put the lid on. And another 6 minutes. Most of the liquid then will be absorbed and the orzo will be close to done. We'll check it at that point. If the orzo for some reason isn't finished yet and we have too much liquid in the pan, we can remove our salmon and we can just cook it a little bit more to finish it off. But this timing is perfect because I'm perfect, okay?
Once again, sarcasm gets lost on some people, and they're gonna think that you are serious.
Well, thank you for letting them know that I'm being sarcastic, okay? I'm not the best, okay? I'm like second best, you know? Anyway, set your timer, okay? Okay, so it's been another 6 minutes. There's a good amount of liquid in there still, so we'll check the orzo to see if it's done. Actually, there's not a good amount of liquid, I'm sorry. The liquid's just at the top there, okay. Perfect. Season with a little salt and pepper if you want. This tastes really good to me. Maybe a touch more salt. I'm gonna turn that off, take it off the heat. And you know, you can check if your salmon's done. You can use a thermometer if you want, about 140 degrees Fahrenheit internal. You could just take a fork and test it. Let's use one that's kind of already broken already. Okay. Yep, and that's good. That's cooked all the way through. I'll take a little bite right now. Delicious. And about a juice of a lemon, or about 3 tablespoons worth. James, the taste tester, is here. He's back. By the way, the plate is different because his sister, who doesn't want to be on camera, she came home and she was like, that smells really good. So I gave her the whole plate of that one, and I just gave James another plate right now. So it's probably been sitting about 30 minutes for him.
That's good. It's better than last time.
You know, Sammy said the same thing. I used a different brand of Orzo. That's the only difference. This was Rummo Orzo versus the other one was a brand I can't remember from the supermarket.
I think the salmon's better too.
Yeah, well, that could be another thing too. Mama said when she got it that they went into the back and got a fresh piece, right?
Yeah, they didn't have like a piece that looked like what we wanted. They had kind of like the tail ends like sitting out.
Yeah.
So she went into the cooler and took a new piece.
And by the way, if you don't want to do that, like if you don't have access, you can buy individual fillets of salmon at Costco, Trader Joe's, all those places, and it's perfectly fine. The skin's already off most of the time on those. That's accessible.
Okay, I know I'm gonna give this.
What is it, James?
It's a 10 out of 10.
Yes!
Wow.
Thanks, James.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Well,
you want to
why?
give any color on that?
Why
Yeah.
is
Well-
it a 10 out of 10?
It's just like very like good in like every way. There's protein, carbs, and there's tomatoes, and all the flavors blend together very well. Almost like linguine with clams, but orzo with salmon. It's like pasta with seafood, which is one of my favorite things. I
Yeah.
love.
What about the spinach? I mean, you didn't get so much. I used a whole pound,
Yeah,
which is crazy.
I mean, I don't think it makes that much of a difference, but it adds on like something nice, and it gives a good color. Yeah, overall, this dish is very good.
What do you think of the seasoning that's on the salmon? Do you know can you tell what kind of seasoning that is?
I didn't go crazy with the amount.
Can't really tell.
It's just my homemade Cajun seasoning. But you can like increase it with like Slap Your Mama or something. And if you want to like make this even closer to what I've done in the past, you could add cheese, even though you're not really supposed to do cheese with fish.
Doesn't need it.
And you could also use some Kalamata olives, Galleta olives.
I don't think it needs anything.
Yeah.
That's good.
I wanted to make it simple, and it is simple, and you know, that simple dish got a 10 from this guy. This is episode number 1 of the One Pot Meal series. Leave us ideas in the comments for what you want us to make. Maybe there's something we're missing, all right? We will see you next time.